My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for Veterans Memorial and Multicultural Histories Incorporated. And today is Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. And, sir, when is your birthday?
December 7, 1969.
And what city do you live in?
Loxahatchee, Florida.
Okay, all right. Okay, and let's see. What branch of the service were you in?
United States Army.
Are you still active duty?
Negative.
Okay, you're JROTC instructor,
Right.
right, at Forestville High School?
That's correct.
Right, thanks. How long have you been doing that?
10 years, since 2012.
Okay, is that the total of your teaching career, or were you?
No, 25 years active duty. I taught while I was in the Army also, and then 10 years JROTC. So
Okay.
combined 35.
Why did you choose the Army?
I chose the Army because they gave me the most options when I was enlisting.
So, what options were attractive for you?
So when I was 17 years old, I decided, I was a senior in high school, I wanted to enlist. I always wanted to be a soldier. I taught to all the branches of service. I actually went to an aviation high school. So
Where was that?
Queens, New York. Right, yeah. So people would think that would be my first choice, but it wasn't. The Army kind of offered me what I was looking for, which was I wanted to work in communications. And that's what I did, my first enlistment.
What was the name of that school in New York?
Aviation high school.
Right. And it was like,
Queens Boulevard.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we all had dreams of going there one day. So anyway, okay, what year did you go into the military?
I went in 1986.
And what were you doing at the time? Before you went into service, what were you doing?
Well, I was just a high school student, working part-time and going to school full-time.
Okay, all right.
Typical high school.
Excuse me?
Typical high school student.
Gotcha. Why did you want to go in the military?
So I was raised, at that time I lived in Harlem, New York, and it was a very rough neighborhood. A lot of gang violence, a lot of bad things for young people. So I wanted to get away from the negativity and do something positive. So I decided leaving New York in general, Harlem, New York, was my best option, and that's why I enlisted.
Okay. All right, so where was basic training?
Basic training was in, and you got to excuse me because I got a little bit of a slight memory loss. This is just a little PTSD, but basic training was back in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Fort
Sill,
okay.
Oklahoma.
And so how long was basic training?
So basic training back then was a total of about 10 weeks, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And how was the food? How were the instructors? How were your peers? How'd you get through it?
All right, so three-part question. So how was the food? I remember the food was different. I'll leave it at that. You know, I come from a Hispanic culture where I'm used to eating rice and beans and all that good stuff. Over there, they were feeding us potatoes and, you know, it's just different kind of food, but it was healthy food. It was good food.
Okay.
The other thing was like, how did I get through it? When you first join the Army, it's all about the team. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we all want to make it together. So based on all the help from my peers, the fellow soldiers, we were all able to, I remember my platoon had about, I think it was like 32, and we all made it through. So, okay. Again, it's all about teamwork, helping each other out, and that's the only way you're going to make it, because if you're an individual, you'll struggle.
Okay. Team building, camaraderie. Okay, so what about your peers? Officers, you along with everybody? And by the way, were there any injuries at all? I heard you say everybody got through it, but did anybody get injured?
No, I don't recall any injuries
okay.
At all. I'll tell you that my peers were great. We don't really train with officers. It's all enlisted. So when you first come in, you know, you're a private. You're at the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
My nickname was Turd. That's reality, right? So you're starting from the ground up, and then you're building up, and then you pull a bit of water on that turd, and it becomes fertilizer, and then it grows into a beautiful plant. But we all trained together. We all made it. The officers were leading us, and they're already in the service. They're already in the Army. They were, you know, the folks overseeing the operations.
Gotcha. Okay. MOS, AIT, where'd you go to, was your MOS or AIT combined with basic training, or did you go someplace different?
No, it's a two-part training. So you go through basic training, which you kind of learn how to be a soldier. They break you down, then they build you up, and then you get the title soldier. So now you're a soldier, but you don't have a job. So the next phase is advanced individual training, which is AIT. So in advanced individual training, I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and that's when they trained me how to use, back then in 1986, we were just getting fiber optic cables. We were just getting wireless. All the stuff that we all have now, we were just getting it back then.
Okay.
So I was part of that, getting all that stuff out here to the Army and back to the civilian world.
How long was that training?
Fort Gordon, Georgia, I don't recall. I'm pretty sure it was a couple of months, maybe 3-4 months.
Okay, something like 12, 16 weeks.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Gotcha.
I don't
Okay.
recall exactly.
And same drill. How was the food?
Again, the food was great.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Hey, when you're hungry, anything tastes good. And then when you're in training, I don't know if you guys know this, so you eat it first and then you taste it later. So it ain't like you're sitting there, talking to your friends and eating lunch and having a good old time. It's just how you sit there, you take care of business, and then you move out, and then you get to taste it later when it finally hits you.
Okay. Okay, that's one way to put it. That's for sure. Okay. Any casualties? Nobody got hurt?
In advanced individual training?
Right.
No. Training is very well controlled. Everything is safety first, so we had no injuries.
So before you went to your first duty station, did you go home on leave?
No, I went straight through.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a straight
So
through.
where'd you go?
So I went from Fort Sill, Oklahoma to Fort Gordon, Georgia for the second part, which AIT. And then from there you get a break. So at that time you get to go home. I believe I went home for like 10 days.
Okay.
And then after that you go to your first duty assignment.
Was home back in Queens, New York?
Yes, Harlem, New York.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to school in Queens, New York.
Got it.
All right, there you go.
So I apologize. Where was the first duty station?
It was my first duty station after all the training was done was Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Okay. And how long was that tour?
That tour was about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was about 3 years.
All right. So what was your job now? You telecommunications or?
Right, so what happens is Fort Benning, Georgia was the 24th Infantry Division back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a young private, I had the communication skills. So they embed you in a company or a unit that needs that skill set. So I could have gone field artillery, I could have gone infantry, I could have gone MI, military intelligence, but they put me in a field artillery unit.
Okay.
Big boys, the big guns.
Okay. And so what was your job? What did you do?
So I did what they trained me. So what I basically did, I worked on the tanks, all their communication inside the tanks,
Okay.
and that's what we did. So we rolled with the tankers.
Okay.
Right.
Over that 3-year period, both either R&R or being deployed, maneuvers, whatever, where did you travel?
So during that time, let me see what went on during that time. There was not a lot going on during that time. There was peace in the Middle East.
Okay.
So you want to put it that way. It's just basic training, getting ready for the worst. I don't recall any campaigns, anything going on during those 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. Was it operational readiness, preparedness?
Right. So basically you're getting ready for the event that something might pop up, which it did, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. Was that during the 3 years?
Yes, so you're looking at from 86 till about 89-ish time frame. That was that 3-year period.
So what happened?
Nothing. It was just a regular tour of duty, and then I came up on assignment again.
And I thought you said something occurred.
No, we're getting ready in case something occurs.
Oh, okay.
Right. We're just training.
Okay.
Right.
All
Combat
right.
readiness.
All right. So how was the tour? I mean, did you take any vacation over the 3-year period or not?
Yes, I took vacation.
Did you go back to New York or did you travel somewhere else?
No, it was just New York. When you're a private, you're broke. You don't have a lot of money to be traveling
Right.
and doing all these lavish things. I do recall, I did go back home. I married my high school sweetheart, and we still married 33 years later.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that worked out pretty good for me.
There you go.
So I snatched her out the neighborhood.
Okay.
Show her the good life.
Okay. Was she in the service, by the way?
No, she was not in the service.
Okay, all right, all right. All right, so where was the next tour?
So immediately after Fort Stewart, I got orders to go to Germany, overseas.
Where in Germany?
Wiesbaden, Germany.
That's where I was. Keep going.
All right, so went to Wiesbaden. It's a 3-year tour for old soldiers in Germany. So we went to Germany for 3 years. That's when, about a year into my tour, I got that call that night saying, hey, we're going to deploy. Iraq invaded Kuwait.
Wow.
And the president's going to activate, some units to go overseas and fight the war.
And your unit was one of those units?
Yes, our unit was one of those units.
So where did you go?
So immediately after we got the notification, what happens is you get that call 2, 3 in the morning, you get all your gear, you show up, everything's top secret. You can't even tell your wife where you're going because you don't want this thing to leak out. So you get that call, you show up to where your unit is, and then you wait for further orders. So we waited. They took us to Gießen, Germany, and we stood there for about a good 4 weeks.
Okay.
And we made sure that our weapons were tuned in, our equipment was operational. We made sure everything was ready before we got on the bird heading over to the Middle East.
What weapon did you train on?
So we had different weapon systems. I was in a tanker unit, but my own personal weapons, I had the M16A1 back then, had the old 45 caliber. We didn't have all these fancy things we have now.
Okay, all right, all right. So what happened when where did you finally, after the 4 weeks, where'd you go?
So once we did all our train up, all the equipment was loaded into the air cargo. They dropped all our equipment off. We landed in, where did we land first? I believe we landed in Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We landed in Saudi Arabia. We had a base there where we staged. And from there, when the ground war started, we started moving into actual Iraq.
Okay, and how long were you in Iraq?
I was in Iraq for about 6 months.
Okay, and tell us about it. Did you see combat? Were you in combat?
Yes. We did. I recall the first time the Scud missiles came over. The towers. We lost one soldier there, unfortunately, and we didn't have no close combat. It wasn't that kind of war.
Okay.
But the tanks did drive through, and there was a lot of, casualties taken. Yeah, but we only took one from my unit.
Okay.
Right.
So when you say casualties, do you mean from the opposition or do you mean from?
From the opposition. From the opposition.
Okay.
Yeah, from the opposition.
Right.
When we went there, we were told that we were going to encounter the Republican Guards, which was their top force. This was supposed to be their heavy hitters, their special forces, and there was so much hype about these guys that, you're nervous. You're like, wow, I'm about to face this fierce opponent. And when we got there, we just ran right through them, So, that's the United States Army.
Right, I got you. How was the food there, by the way?
The food, it's field food.
Right.
When we were out there, even though we did have our, in case you guys don't know, when we travel with we're self-sustained. We have our own cooks, we have our own water supplies, like we don't depend, we bring everything we need to stay out there. So our cooks were great. They had their big kitchens that they travel with. Most of the time we ate MREs, which is dehydrated food, because where you gonna go eat in the middle of the desert, right? So they gave us MREs and that's what we ate. And that stands for meals ready to eat.
Okay, all right. So for the 6-month period, you only lost one?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's excellent. All right. Okay, so tell me 1 or 2 memorable instances that you experienced while you were there for the 6-month period. A couple of things that stand out in your mind that, sort of like you'll never forget.
All right, so the first one was the first casualty. You'll never forget that because it was a she. She was a teammate, and she was well liked with our unit. So again, that was very memorable. And they did pay honors to her while we were there before they sent the body back to the States. Number 2 is always coming home. I'll tell you that there was very memorable. We were welcomed with open arms when we came back to the States. It wasn't like previous campaigns, like Vietnam War and things like that. When the soldiers weren't welcomed back,
Right.
they should have been welcomed. So it was good coming back home.
Okay, okay. Oh, up to this point, and did you feel like you had all the supplies that you needed, number one, and number two, did you ever have a problem staying in touch with your family while you were in the service, by the way?
Definitely had all the supplies we needed, very well equipped.
Uh-huh.
Communications was an issue.
Okay,
We were all the way out there in the sandbox in the desert. I might got a call in maybe twice a month if I could.
okay,
But they would try to facilitate. They had call centers where the soldiers will go through, but there's so many of us, you know, and plus we're out there in live missions. You can't be on the phone. You know, there's no cell phones out there. There's nothing. It's just, hey, you got a sack phone or an opportunity to call home, 2 minutes, talk to your wife or whoever, and then hang up.
right.
We did receive a lot of letters, though. That was good. So
Okay.
we were able to get mail.
Got your mail.
Yeah, got my mail.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, where was the next duty station?
So from there, from Germany, we came back. We went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For how long?
I was in Fort Bragg, North Carolina for quite some time. I was there for, I believe, maybe about 4 years.
Okay.
Fort Bragg.
And how did that go?
Fort Bragg went well. Fort Bragg, the war was already died down a little bit because, you know, the campaign was over, so we came back to Fort Bragg. I think I recall I reclassified. So it was time for me to re-enlist, so I reclassified into another job.
Right.
So I was no longer doing mechanic work at that time.
Oh, so you cross-trained? I mean, what was the next job?
Right. So because it first started as a wheel mechanic. I went to mechanic school.
Okay.
That's what happened. So
Okay.
I was doing communication. I remember I came back to Fort Bragg. I saved up a little money because I was in the war. You know, you don't spend no money up there. So I had a little pocket change in my pocket. I decided I wanted to buy a car. I bought a car. It wasn't a very expensive car. It was what you call a hoopty. You know, a thing. It kind of gets you from point A to point B
Right.
whenever it wants to.
Right.
But I did purchase a vehicle. I remember I wanted to learn how to fix it. I had that desire. I said, man, I can't be taken to a mechanic. So I re-enlisted, and the Army sent me to become a mechanic, to actually go to mechanic school.
Okay. And how long was the school?
That school was in Fort Meade, Maryland. I believe it was about maybe 4 months, 5 months,
Okay.
right? 5
And-
days a week, you know.
While you were in Fort Bragg, by the way, while you were in Germany and while you were in Iraq on R&R, did you get to travel at all?
No, not a lot of traveling going
Okay.
on. Basically from New York back to the base to visit family.
And that was it?
And that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I was still broke.
Well,
Yeah.
I figured if you were in a combat zone, they'd like send you somewhere, let you go somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I came straight home. Again, I came straight home. My wife was there. My firstborn was there.
Right.
So I came visit, wife. And then you could take your family with you where you go. So at that point, my family was already with me. So
Okay.
before Bragg, they were already with me when I came back from the war.
Okay. Okay, so after Fort Meade, after that training, you went back to Fort Bragg?
Yes, I went back to Fort Bragg. I did mechanic work there for maybe 2 years or so. And then I became down on special assignment.
What rank are you by now?
At that time, I was like a specialist. I think I was like a E4, ready to be a sergeant, specialist in transition
Gotcha.
to becoming a sergeant. Right.
Okay, so how much longer did you stay at Fort Bragg and where was the next duty station?
So while in Fort Bragg, I came down on duty for when you become a sergeant. I remember I promoted to sergeant. You have options where you could branch out of your job and do something different. So they offered me drill sergeant and recruiting. And I wanted to be a drill sergeant, so I signed up for drill sergeant school. And then they gave me what I didn't want. So they sent me to recruiting school because I speak another language. I speak Spanish fluently,
Right,
which was good. I enjoyed it. So then they sent me to a school in South Carolina, Fort Jackson. It was about another 4 months. Taught me how to be a recruiter. And after that, I came down on special assignment to work in New York City,
okay, okay.
my hometown.
So now you're a recruiter in New York.
Right, now I'm a recruiter in New York City.
And how long did that tour last?
That tour lasted forever. Yeah, that tour, it was supposed to be a 3-year tour. And I enjoyed it so much that I decided to just convert or permanently do that. I didn't want to go back to turning wrenches. So I said, you know what, I just want to become a permanent recruiter. So I stayed in New York, It was a while. It was about 7 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long time in New York City.
All right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we'll talk about the job, but,
How was the food?
yeah, how,
He was asking about the food. He's making me hungry. The food was good.
I haven't forgotten. So anyway, I mean, how did it go? How, you know, what was your success as a recruiter?
It went very well. I'll tell you that I was back in my neighborhood, and now I was helping those that they wanted to enlist. They wanted to change their lives and do something different. So it's great when you're able to take someone who wants to do positive things, and then you help them get to that level, and then they come back and visit you, and they're like, hey, listen, I'm in the Army, I'm doing great. Thank you for helping me. So I was very successful. I was able to become the top recruit in New York City.
Wow.
I was meritoriously promoted to the rank of first sergeant or master sergeant.
Okay.
So yeah, my career just catapulted when I went to recruiting duty. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Very well. Yeah.
Good news. So how many years had you been in at the end of the 7 years?
After which?
Oh,
After that. Okay. By that time, I was almost towards the end of my career. I was a little over 20, maybe.
Okay.
I did 7 plus a couple, right? So after that, I got tasked out to become or work with CID, which is Criminal Investigation Department. So what we did.
Where?
In New York City.
Oh, okay.
Right. So we traveled all over the place. We went to Baltimore. We went to military bases, and we kind of anything that wasn't legally done correctly, we would investigate, and then we would arrest those people that weren't doing the right thing. So, such as improprieties. Such as I recall, it was a few improprieties. People forging documents because they wanted to get people in the Army, or there was a scandal one time where people were cheating on the ASVAB examination, the entrance exam. So
Right.
again, you kind of investigate these things, and then you present it, and then they'll get their just due for what they did. Right.
Right.
So that was good. I did that for about a year or so.
Okay.
Right.
And what came next?
After that, again, I was doing great things. They say, hey, you did so well that we want to make you an instructor. We want you to teach these new recruiters coming up, your success. How did you do it? What works for you? So then I went back to South Carolina, Fort Jackson.
Okay.
That was my last assignment.
All right.
So we went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I moved my whole family there. And in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, I was an instructor for my last 4 or 5 years till I retired.
Okay. All right. And how was the food?
Man, the food. I'll tell you what, some of the best food I had is Southern food. By that time, I was already used to the food. Yeah, good fried chicken, potatoes. Yeah. I gained a little weight back then.
There you go.
But no, the food is great. I'll tell you that the armed forces take care of their troops.
Right.
They really do. They really do.
So now that you've moved up the ladder,
Right.
okay, in that 7 years in New York and beyond CID, did you finally get to travel, take the wife on a R&R somewhere like Hawaii or Alaska or California or what?
Man, it's funny. Look, I'm still saving up. No, no, but yeah, we did get to travel. At that point, I was already up there in rank.
Right.
We went to while in Germany, went to Prague, went to Paris. We visited the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
Well, in the States, we've been all over the place. We love to cruise, so we've been to every island. We've been to Bermuda, St. Thomas. Just all over the world.
Okay.
So
the Mediterranean, Africa, Spain?
no, haven't been. My wife's actually going to Spain soon, but I haven't been to Africa. No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but all over the Caribbean,
Uh-huh.
every little island there is there, because that's where we're from.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where are you from originally?
Dominican Republic.
Okay. Both of you?
Right. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow. How you like that? What about the West Coast? Any California?
We did.
Any Hawaii?
Yeah, we did California, Hawaii. We haven't done, but it's on my bucket list.
Gotcha.
We're gonna go.
Gotcha.
Right.
And what about like out west, northwest, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico?
No, there's nothing out there for us. Yeah, we don't like the cold weather.
Okay.
We're gonna keep it simple right here in Florida.
I got you. Loud and clear. Okay, just a few more questions. Let's see. Right, got all of that. Oh, did you use your GI Bill for school?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that.
Uh-huh.
I have 2 beautiful daughters. One's a nurse, And the GI Bill, you're able to transfer a portion or all of it to your siblings, right?
Right.
And the GI Bill is money for college, in case you don't know. So I was able to get my daughter through nursing school, which was very expensive.
Right.
And then my other daughter used also a portion of it. She went through medical lab school, so she's a medical lab technician. And with the remaining, whatever was left there, I was able to get my master's degree.
Okay, in what?
Business administration.
Nice.
So I have an MBA. Yeah.
And both of your daughters are in medicine?
Yes, they're both in the medical.
And what states are they practicing in?
In Florida.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
you got a family here?
Yeah, my
Nice.
family's here.
There you go.
Gotta keep them close.
You got any grands yet?
I got 1 grand, about 2 months old. That's why I'm wearing my mask, because I don't want to take nothing home to the grandbaby.
Gotcha.
So I want to be extra cautious. Yeah, 2-month-old grandbaby.
Excuse me. Have you retained any of your close friendships from the military?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of my close buddies actually lives here also in Wellington, and we serve together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we
Nice.
still communicate.
Okay. And do you belong to any veterans organizations, by the way?
Unfortunately, I don't, because I'm doing JROTC and I'm so busy, with JROTC, there's not a lot of time to do extracurricular activities.
You know, life of a teacher is
No, it is.
jam-packed anyway.
It is jam-packed.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, not a problem. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Yes, it did. A lot of people just believe what they see on TV. But I tell you that it goes deeper than that. Until you're there, watching some of the stuff that's happening, the atrocities. People say, "Well, why go to war?" Well, there's people that need help. And right now, when I went to Iraq, they had just invaded Kuwait, and if you know an invasion, that means they go in there and do whatever. They take whatever, do whatever. So imagine something like that happening here, where somebody will come in and go in your house, sleep in your bed, eat your food, kick your dog, whatever, and you have nobody to help you. You start to think differently. So yeah, it opened up my eyes to the real world, what's out there, outside of our borders.
Gotcha. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I have a few medical conditions, and that's here or there. The training we did was rough and rigorous, and after you age, I just hit 52. So now my back start hurting from carrying that heavy rucksack around, and my feet, I got to wear a brace here. So it catches up to you, and all my buddies that were airborne and jumped out of airplanes and all that hard landing messes them up a little bit. So again, it does catch up to you like anything else, but the VA is compensating me well. So I'm okay. Yeah, I'm happy.
Good for you. All right, last question. What do you have to say to, and really you like one of the perfect people to ask this question. So future leaders. So let's just stick with what you know, absolutely. Okay. Students, all right? Students, your family, your own children, grandchildren. What do you say to them going forward into the future as far as the military, and this might sound a little broad, but the world that we're living in today? If you follow, we got politics, we have another war that we're looking at over in, the Ukraine,
right,
at the European border, and there's just a lot going on. So, I mean, again, you being a school teacher, your worldview is it's impactful as far as your students are concerned. So, in a nutshell, what do you have to say to them going forward? And that's family and students.
Right. So, my best advice or recommendation would be, and I don't want to get into politics because we all have our own opinions on politics, but I will say that me and my family, we've chosen a career path of servitude, where my daughters are serving, they're nurses, my wife works for the school district, I serve my nation, I'm continuing to serve. There's no greater feeling than knowing that you're helping other people. I will tell you that a lot of my other buddies are making a lot of good money doing other things, but they don't get that gratification. I feel good when I see my students coming back in uniform. And I feel good when they're inviting me to be their first salute because they became officers.
Right.
It's just a good feeling inside. I'll tell you that before I enlisted, my parents wanted to stop me. They were like, don't do it, don't do it. You're going to go over there, you're going to get killed, you're going to do this, you got to go with your gut feelings. You know, you got to live your own life. So I decided, you know what? Thank you for the advice, parents, but this is something I want to do, and I'm glad I did. Fast forward almost 30 years later, guess what? A lot of my friends are still in the same neighborhood in New York, working job to job. Some of them ain't got no teeth, no hair, because they didn't take care of their physical. You know, while I was doing PT in the gym or running with my troops, they were out here drinking beer and doing all that other stuff. So they see me now, they look like they're 100 years old. So again, always follow your gut, follow your instinct. I'll tell you that that'll lead you in the right path. You know, as long as you're doing something positive. And one thing I always tell my students, and I tell my daughters and my family, always try to associate yourself with people that are doing good things. Because guess what you're going to start doing if they're doing good things? You're going to start doing good things also, right? So it kind of correlates. But if you associate yourself with people that are doing negative things, you're going to fall into that. You're going to fall into that also. So my advice is, again, follow your gut. Try to do something positive. If you have an opportunity, you're healthy, you could serve, why not? Do it for a couple of years. You might like it. You might make a career out of it. All right, but it was a way out for me, a kid from Harlem, New York City.
Right.
Fast forward now, again, hey, I got a beautiful house. I'm driving a Tesla. Money's in the bank. You know, got a master's degree. Everything's paid for.
Right.
You know, I planned it right, and it worked for me. So if it works for me, it could work for who?
You.
It work for everyone, right?
Right.
Yeah, opportunity's there. Yeah, that's my message, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for a great interview,
All right.
and I also want to thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you.
much, and I want to thank you guys. You guys have been great.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
You fellas have, boys and girls, any questions that you want to ask?
Well, this ain't a question, but I like the tattoo that you got with the gun right there with the helmet on top.
All right, so let me explain what that is. So I only have one tattoo in my body, and it's this one. And this is symbolic of whenever you see a rifle with a helmet and boots, this is a fallen soldier. So when that soldier passed away, we all went and got tattoos just as a reminder of the ultimate sacrifice, meaning, you know, that person didn't make it. So that's what that means. The boots with the helmet and all that is the ultimate sacrifice. And you'll see some soldiers that deploy, you know, rocking the same tattoo, right? So that's what that means.
Do me a
Good
favor.
question. Yes, sir.
Go stand over there by him. Go stand by him. Let me get a photo.
All right, yeah, let's take a picture.
Yep. Who stole the, I did.
My family actually put, cause I got my auntie, she went
Right.
to the reserve, so they actually pushed me to go to the army.
Yeah, you should do that. I'm telling you, it's a great thing. You're a healthy guy. Look like you're in shape.
Yes, sir.
Good
Open
job.
up a lot of doors for you.